Hello, everyone. Before we start the session, we're going to wait for all the participants to enter. We're going to start at about 8:25, and in the meantime, can all the attendees turn on their cameras? Thank you. Hello everyone. Before we start, let us take attendance. Amir, may you please raise your hand if you're here? Amir Shitki Setiawan. I don't think he's here yet. Okay. Faiza Zahra Anindita, are you?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Faithful Jonash Alberto, are you here?
Yes.
Ladia Zafira Rahmat,
Yes, I'm here.
Manggala Alif Prasetya, are you here?
Yes, I am here.
Sean Sylvester Siddhartha,
Here.
Tarta Tarbarita Prabhaswara,
Yes, I'm here.
Juris Simbolan, are you here?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Beevolution 2022 speech judging session. I am Dia, and I'm here along with Hannah. We're going to be your MCs for today. Today, we're going to go through all of the amazing submissions, and we'll also be hearing feedbacks from our judges. Talking of judges, let us introduce you to them. We have Richelle Xie, whose achievement includes being the head chair of MIS 1 2022 for Mahkamah Agung, as well as the best delegate for SJ Mun UNICEF 2019 and HS Mun UNSS 2019.
Hello, everyone. As she has mentioned, my name is Rochelle. I graduated from business back in, well, it's a long time ago. And now I'm a law student studying law in King's College London. So sorry if I sound a bit odd. It's winter right now and I'm down with the cold. So I'm sorry my voice isn't as loud as it usually is. If you can hear me, please just speak up and I'll try to be louder. It's so nice meeting all of you.
Hi, Rochelle. I hope you're getting better. Not only Rochelle is here, we also have Rama Husodo, and he was the best delegate in Jismun for ECOSOC 2020, the honorable mention in ASEAN Tokyo HMCA 2020, and not only that, he was the best judge in ICJ CISKG Moon 2019. Warmest welcome to our judges. Thank you for being here today. Before we start the session, let's hear an opening remark from our two wonderful judges. Let us start from Rama.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Firstly, I'd like to thank the MC Dia and Camilla for having me today as a judge for this speech and debate and speech competition. If you don't already know me, my name is Rama, and I was a student of Mentari Intercultural School Jakarta, but I'm currently studying economics at the University of Indonesia. Yeah, and it's a great pleasure to meet you all, and it was interesting, and it was really fun watching all of your speeches. You guys all did an excellent job.
Thank you. It's also an honor to have both of you guys here. Before we start, I'm going to explain to you guys the mechanism for today's judging. We're going to play videos of each participant, and after that, the judges will give live comments and feedbacks, and we'll move on to the next video. Please remember that the winner of the competition isn't going to be announced today, but will be announced through Beevolution's Instagram and on the closing ceremony of Beevolution, streamed live on our YouTube channel on November 12th. So look out for that. So what are we waiting for? I'm so excited to see all the videos. First up, we have Aiko Dewi Srikanti.
Greetings to all respectable individuals. I would like to introduce myself as Aiko. Today I will be talking about the topic, something that is currently happening, a natural phenomenon, sort of, called the rise of sea levels. This world that we're currently living in is provided by God, and this said world is full of fantastic and fascinating things, such as plants, animals, all different kinds of plants and animals, nature herself. Naturally, one's instinct is to protect this environment, since this is where we are going to live in. This is where we're going to stay forever until we pass away. However, it seems Mother Nature's condition has appeared to worsen over the years. Until today, the damage that she is experiencing is still progressing increasingly. One of the main causes is global warming, one that everyone must be familiar with by now, but however, still haven't found the concrete solution to solving this nightmare of a thing. Going deeper into the roots of global warming, it has caused a phenomenon called the rise of sea levels. The 20th century was when the sea levels started to rise, more than usual, that is. Between 1901 and 2018, the globally average level rose by 15 to 25 centimeters, or 1 to 2 millimeters per year on average. Climate scientists expect the rate to further increase during the 21st century, with the latest measurements saying the sea levels are rising by 3.7 millimeters per year now. As it has previously stated, the main cause of sea levels to rise is global warming. Now, global warming, it's quite something that people know about, right? It's this greenhouse emission that increases the Earth's temperature. It increases so high to the point that it's just ruining its surroundings. NASA had mentioned that due to the scorching heat, ice sheets and glaciers are collapsing, creating pools of water beneath them as they melt. That then will slowly increase the water level over the years. One that would be greatly affected by this are Arctic animals. Animals that are particularly ice dependent, like narwhals, polar bears, and walruses, are all at risk. It's such a big risk. WWF Arctic program has predicted that by 2100, polar bears could die of starvation and reproductive failure, even reaching to far north Canada. Of course, not only animals that are affected, but humans are also too. As stated by Wikipedia, it has been shown that there is confidence in which 2050 the levels of sea level would rise combined with the 2010 population distribution would result in approximately 150 million people under the waterline during high tide and approximately 300 million people in places which are flooded every year, which is an increase of 40 and 50 million people relative to 2010 values for the same. While the rise in sea levels impacts every coastal and island population on Earth and leads to higher storm surges, more dangerous tsunamis, damage in cities, loss and degradation degradation of agriculture land and permanent loss of land, and the displacement of population, it does not occur uniformly due to local factors like tides, currents, storms, tectonic effects, and land subsidence. At the same time, Asia will be the region where sea level would impact the most people. 8 Asian countries mainly: Bangladesh, China, India, Indonesia, Japan, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam, which are accounts for 70% of the global population exposed to sea level rise and land subsidence. We, the people of Indonesia, are greatly at risk of this nightmare. Up on top of what seems like a dark abyss of problems and nightmares, there is a light. There's a light of hope for a better future. We, the people of Indonesia, must do something for a better and brighter future. Fate is inlaid upon our hands, and we must do something to make sure it still shines bright and colorful. It is possible for us to lessen the greenhouse effect and decrease the effects of global warming. How? Well, I am truly honored to present to you with some few simple ideas that you can do anywhere you want and can help a lot. Firstly, the light switch. If not in use, turn it off to preserve energy. Same goes for air conditioning and fans. If those are in your homes, if you're not using it, turn it off, since it will save energy and just even reduce your electrical bills. Secondly, leave the car at home. By decreasing the use of your car, you can cut off on air pollution and the release of gas emissions. In addition, you can get fresh air, which will help boost your overall mood. Such a nice life it would be, cycling through the neighborhood with your hair being played around by the wind. And lastly, a simple thing you could do with friends or family is planting trees or flowers. Whatever size it will be, whether it be a whole apple tree or a small flower in a pot, it can help they can help regulate temperature by cooling overheated urban areas, can reduce flood risks by absorbing surface rainwater, which can be done by planting trees, and can provide important habitats for a wide variety of insects, animals, birds, and amphibians. As it also has been reported that it has benefits towards the public, which it reduces stress to one's mind. So with that, I will conclude this by saying that we have to try our best, do whatever we can do, whatever is possible for us to do to save our environment, to try and save our environment. We have to do something to build a better future for us all, for generations to come, for ourselves. We have to do it together as one. Thank you for listening. Greetings to all.
That was our first submission from Aiko Dewi Shrikandi, and sadly she cannot join us today. So maybe we'll go straight to the feedback from Karama first, maybe.
Okay, thank you very much. So since Aiko isn't here, I can't congratulate her personally, but I would like to say very well done, Aiko. Excellent enthusiasm, good use of hand gestures and good body language, and I like how she was standing up during her speech. She had a clear voice, detailed content. The solutions were good, but I would say it could have been expanded a bit further, but I like her general idea and her general rhetoric of solving the issue by providing us with more sort of personal, realistic day-to-day solutions. So that would be it from me. Thank you.
Rachel, you can continue.
Roma has mentioned most of the points I was going to make, but I'll just add her eye contact was not at the camera. We can see that she was reading, like it was on another screen. So if she could fix that, it would be a really great speech. And what would make it even better is if she could also define Like she mentioned a lot of good scientific terms, but then she didn't really define it. What I like, adding on to what Kak Rama said, was also her use of facts and statistics. So she quoted a lot of sources, which made her speech more credible, and it makes it more interesting as well. She also has a really good structure. It was easy to follow. She gave a good range of arguments, like impacts to different parties, plants, animals, people. And what I really like is how she keeps on repeating, we, we the people of Indonesia. This is great because she's directly engaging with the audience. And this makes her speech really interesting and really relevant and relatable to us listeners as well.
Thank you for the feedback. That was really nice. Next, we have Emir Shipki Setiawan.
I'm here to deliver your speech, but before that, I'm here to deliver you. I'm here to deliver your speech, but before that, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Emir Shitki Setiawan from the University of Diponegoro, majoring in Communication Science, Batch 22. I was also the alumni of Bina School Serpong, Batch 13. The title of this speech is the topic that I've chosen, the media, mind control. Now, what is the media, you may ask? I'm sure that all of you are familiar with what the media is, but to put it simply, a media is a main means of mass communication. In this modern day, media is easily more accessible, not only through physical print such as newspaper, but also through the internet known as social media. Well, for example, the social media is Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and many more. Those social medias, you can post your content, you can make communities with them. Everything you can do on the social media is more and more accessible than before. But what if I told you that the media can control you and manipulate you into changing your mindset and perspective of thinking? Well, we'll move on to more details about the media, which describes the various ways through which we communicate with society. Because it refers to all means of communications, which hence I explained before, well, everything ranging from telephone call to the evening news on the television, it can be called the media. Well, the types of medias can be defined in three types. One being print media, such as newspaper. Second being broadcast media, such as radio and TV. And the third one, the internet, which I've mentioned before, is social media. Now, out of all these social media, you might think, how does the media itself works? We'll look at the news, for example. The news media is there to provide the masses with factual information about what's happening in the world. But as you've no doubt realized, it doesn't always seem like that. Often it feels as if the reporters deliberately spin a story a certain way in order to make it more sensational, regardless of whether there's actually any truth behind it or not. Well, in these turbulent times, when it's not always easy to know just who and what to believe, it serves to remind us that everything should be taken with just the slightest pinch of salt. For example, there's a case where I'm the victim, for example, and I'm being quote unquote raped. I'm sorry if I use that word, but maybe when I tell the media about it, the media will over exaggerate my story. Well, and it turns out that the story itself doesn't really make sense. I hope you guys understand that. That's where media manipulation comes in. Now, to define media manipulation, according to flashpoints.io, media manipulation can be defined as verifiably false or misleading information that is quote unquote created, presented, and disseminated for economic gain or to intentionally deceive the public and may cause public harms. These harms can be, for example, public health and safety, political processes, and financial security. Now, how does the media manipulation actually works? I've mentioned before on how the media works, but how does the media actually manipulate these people? Firstly, media manipulates you by distracting you. The strategy of distraction consists of deviating the public's attention from the important issue. One way they do it is by flooding the news with stories on trivial issues. The objective is to distract the people and keep their minds occupied. The result is that people stop questioning why the media isn't talking about the certain issues. The people forget the real issues, and in doing so, it distracts you as well. Now, the next method is the problem reaction solution. This method is the equivalent of doing a poll in politics. That is, it consists of testing the population by spreading rumors or ideas in order to evaluate how the population would receive them. It is creating a problem in order to later solve it. Then the public see the manipulator as heroes, which to me is a bit of exaggerating. Now, lastly, we'll look at examples of media control. The media controls you by giving you advertisements. We all know that advertisements can be annoying, but it can also be entertaining. The annoying part, for example, we'll take a look at Spotify's advertisement. If you don't pay your Spotify premium, every song, well, not every song, but each song you play at the end, there will be the ad of Spotify Premium, which irritates people into making them buy Spotify Premium. That's the annoying part. But the more entertaining part is that they make advertisements more entertaining so that people will buy the product more because of the advertisement itself. I'll give you an example of entertaining one. Gojek. Gojek has a lot of storyline on their advertisement, which to me, I find it very, very interesting, which I don't skip every time I watch YouTube and there's a Gojek ad. That's my take. But we will conclude this speech. In my opinion, media manipulation is wrong because it controls you into doing things that you're not meant to do. So with that being said, thank you for listening my speech. I apologize if there's any mistakes or any words that I'm not saying, but I hope you enjoy listening to my speech. I'll see you in a bit. Take care.
That was the submission from Mirshid Kisagyawan, and sadly he's not here too. So we'll start with the feedback from Karishel first.
Since I was going to congratulate him, but he's not here, so I'll just go directly to the feedback. What's good from his speech was that he had a good intro, so he defined a topic, he differentiated between the two different medias, print and social. He engaged with the audience, so he had a range of rhetorical questions. He maintained eye contact with the camera. He used hand gestures to emphasize his points, which is good, but he has a tendency to only use one hand, and when used too much, it can become quite distracting. He also had quite good structure. It was easy to follow. So he used the signposting method. So the way he structured it was firstly, and then main argument, the main problem, and then an example to illustrate his point, which is good. We also like how he used shared relatable experience. So his example of the Spotify ads, the Gojek ads, that was really good because everyone knows that. So it persuades the audience to believe him. However, things he could have improved on was his conclusion. It wasn't really that strong. He could have explained more in his thesis statement and then recap the points again in the end. He should also vary his tone and intonation So when you're delivering your argument, you should add extra emphasis so people pay attention. And if the speech was more balanced, like if you explain both sides, this would be a way stronger speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Kak Rama. Next.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I would also would have congratulated Emir, but he's absent in today's Zoom, so I'll just go straight to the feedback. First of all, I 100% agree with what Rochelle has mentioned. He did engage with the audience with some very relatable examples, and he used hand gestures as well. But yes, his hand gestures could have been more varied, so it's not sort of one thing on and on again, and it catches the audience's catches the audience off guard, right? Another thing is he could have maintained better eye contact and could have had a stronger voice. Although I do like his, because this is a particularly difficult and rather controversial topic, I do like his main idea and where he's getting at in terms of engaging with the audience. Although in that respect, he could have maintained a better structure and not deviated off course to other different topics. But overall, we get his main point. It's just that he could have improved on the structure, could have maintained better eye contact, could have had a strong conclusion and a bit of a louder voice. But yes, a job well done, Emir. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the feedback. Next, we have Faiza Zahra Anindita.
Look at me. When you hear snap, you'll fall unconscious, and when you wake up, you'll forget everything. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember watching those TV shows where a person can control another person's mind with just a snap? Well, I used to watch those shows back in the days, but who knew that today a person can control thousands and thousands of minds with just a click? Honorable judges and fellow audience, my name is Faiza Zahra Anindita, and let's talk about this new mind controller we have, or what we call the media. Like weapons, the media should be regulated, and here are a few reasons why. Over 3.2 billion images and 720,000 hours of videos are shared every day through social media. When faced with such a blend of content, how can we know which ones are real and which ones are fake? Sadly, according to research done by Professor Susan and Dr. Adrian Ward, who are both professors at McComb's School of Business in the University of Texas, found that only 28% of their participants read the full article before sharing it, which means that not even the mind controllers know what they are going to mind control about. However, through this research, they were able to find that when we share information through social media, we are not just sharing the news, but we are also sharing an image of who we are and what we know. This new research, which also appears in the Journal of Consumer Psychology, found that simply sharing information gives people confidence, which makes them more knowledgeable with the information they share, even if they have only read the headline. Now, here is the problem. These only reading the headline types of news, which is shared, are more likely to become fake news because headlines can be easily manipulated. And most of the time, these easily manipulated headlines are far from what the article is actually about. Now, a little story I'd like to share with you all is that one day I was scrolling through Instagram when I found this post which I thought was pretty interesting. the headlines wrote, "New celebrity couple ran into a fight. Is it the end of their relationship?" And honestly speaking, I was curious. So when I ran into that post, I clicked it, I read the whole thing to find out that I was being fooled. And the post had nothing to do with the fight nor the breakup, which was really disappointing. Nevertheless, I know that I am not the only one who have faced this kind of disappointment, especially when we're talking about our nation's headlines, which I believe are exaggerated and unnecessary. Don't you think? But enough talking about the mind controllers. Let's talk about us, the readers, the victims, the mind controlled. As we can all guess, social media is a part of everyday life to 4.6 billion people worldwide. But with the rise of fake news and false information, how is it affecting people on the internet? Who does it harm and how? Well, in the perfect world where everything reported would be based only on facts, we would be able to trust the media and that the media that we consume is reliable. However, that is not the case here. Fake news the media is trying to force on us can cause, one, doubt on the integrity of the sources we use as a whole. As a student, I believe that we are expected to evaluate and to reference trustworthy information. Hence, if we include false information as a part of our research or as evidence to our argument, we are in big trouble. And two, have you heard of this really great advice to not Google search the symptoms to your sickness? Well, here's the reason why. There have been a few cases where the media provides misleading information to make us take action and make such risky decisions. When although I understand that it is dangerous to do something without having all the facts, don't you think that it is just as detrimental to do so with inaccurate information? And lastly, fake news articles can also become an entry for hackers to steal your information. Therefore, understanding the risks of fake news and recognizing how to know if it's fake or not is such an important trait to protect your data. Ladies and gentlemen, our beliefs are beyond our imagination. Thus, who can control our beliefs can control our lives too. So, who is this who? You may wonder? Well, I was talking about the media. A bunch of information we accept as truth even though we don't have enough strong evidence that it is. Look, the media only shows what it wants to show you because apparently the manipulative lie is more eligible to share rather than the bittersweet truth. So it is for you to seek the truth. Whether you want to trust the media or not, it is important for you to always reassure and confirm that the information you're going to share is valid. And don't let the headlines fool you, just like it did to me. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to close the discussion of ours with the thought that the media only has its power we give it. So, it is in our hands to control, to stop it from controlling our lives, and to stop it from becoming our future mind controller. Thank you.
Thank you, Faiza. And she's here today, so we're just going to start right away with the feedback from Karama first.
Okay, thank you very much, and very job well done, Faiza, for that enthusiastic and excellent speech. So my feedback for you would, first of all, you had a really strong opening, and you had very good enthusiasm because it immediately caught the viewer's attention with the it wasn't really a direct way of or a not so mainstream way of opening a speech. It had a hook and it grabbed the attention, so that was great. You have very good enthusiasm, and your body language was on point with the hand gestures, and I liked how you sort of moved around a bit, which is good. Excellent tone. A lot of good statistics and a lot of good logical reasoning that you provided behind each of your arguments, so that was great. And I like how you made a personal connection with the audience as well towards the end of the speech by saying, well, it's sort of up to you, but here's my suggestion, not forcing your ideas entirely, but you are making suggestions, which I feel is a great way to end a speech. Things to improve on, however, sometimes you pause for a bit too long, and there are some parts of the speech where it's a bit too slow. That's understandable because you're recuperating information, but also you could have improved your use of more complex language instead of using I noticed that you use some of the same words again, but other than that, excellent speech. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Rochelle, you can continue.
Hi, again, congratulations. That was an amazing speech. I'll just add a couple of points, but I agree completely with what Rama said. It was a very good intro. It was a very creative and engaging speech. And I love how you not only use statistics, but you also quoted a variety of different credible sources, like research by University of Texas, Journal of Psychology. So you use a variety of credible sources, which is good because it makes your speech appear more trustworthy and persuasive to listeners. You also had good variety in tone and intonation, so it was not boring at all. Your voice was really clear, strong. The speech was concise. It was easy to follow, very good. And I love how you use not only personal experiences, but you also use general examples to make your speech and argument more relatable to readers. I love how you engage with the audience. Lots of rhetorical questions there. And you had a good ending. I love how you use imperative. So like, stop media from controlling your life. It was good, it was strong. But I feel it was a bit abrupt, and it would be better if you could sum up your points again in the end to persuade readers to a call to action. And it could also have been better if the speech was structured in a more balanced manner. So, for example, instead of just the negatives of media, maybe you can also include the benefits of media. So, for example, yes, it's mind control, but can you use it for good? And what this does to your speech is, because you acknowledge different perspectives and you say which side is better, this makes your speech more persuasive to listeners. But overall, that was an amazing speech. Great job.
Thank you very much for your feedback.
Thank you, judges, and good job, Faiza. I was hooked from the very beginning from your opening. Next, we have Fable, Jonas, Alberto.
Destruction, extinction, home. What were the things that came up in your mind? Thank you for joining me. My name is Jonas, and I appreciate the opportunity to deliver a speech about the rise of sea levels. In 2021, sea levels has reached a record high. The sea level has risen by 6.5 inches around the globe since 1950 as a result of global warming. Nearly half of it occurred in the past 20 years. Sea levels around the world are rising at an unprecedented rate as a result of global warming. This is the result of our own actions. In terms of going extinct, I don't think there's anything pleasant about it. But driving yourself extinct has got to be the most absurd thing I can think of. Yet that's what's happening right now. Every year, our government spends hundreds of billions of dollars on fossil fuel subsidies. And this number is ticking up
each year. Imagine if dinosaurs spent every year subsidizing meteors. That's exactly what we're doing. We have a major climate issue. Imagine if you put all of that money into solving that instead of driving our own species into our demise. Climate change plays a significant role in the rise of sea levels. So let's see how we can slow that down. It's time for us, the next generation, to step in and take the wheel. We have to stop this. We have to stand up and rise up. It's time to speak up. It's time to take action. There are numerous ways we can slow down climate change and maybe even stop it. Before we start, you probably know what carbon footprint means. But just in case, carbon footprint is the volume of carbon dioxide released into our atmosphere because of a group's or a person's actions. First, promote the cause and inspire others, be it by activism or simply creating a speech about it. You can do many things, but the one where you can reach most people is through social media platforms. You can make sure people are aware on how harmful climate change really is to our planet. Everyone you know, everyone you love, every single human being that has ever existed is on this planet. And I think that's pretty important to take care of. Another way is to reduce your meat consumption. Eat less meat. You don't have to go vegan, but by just not eating as much meat, you can help the earth just by a tiny bit. Meat production is responsible for 3.7% of greenhouse gas emissions in the US by 2014. Not much, but by limiting your cravings for a nice steak dinner, you're actually reducing greenhouse gas emissions. If you still want to get yourself a nice big steak, maybe cut back on your flights. Unless it's for anything important, maybe don't go out on a 40-hour flight to the Bahamas. Maybe consider going somewhere closer to home, such as the sandy beaches of Bali or the peaks of Malang. Aviation as a whole is responsible for 3.8% of all emissions created by transportation in 2019. Transportation itself is responsible for 22% of all carbon emissions. Although it's the safest for you not crashing, it's definitely not the safest for the environment. If you don't fly that much and you don't eat that much meat in the first place, maybe consider biking. Most of us use our car almost every single day of the week. Transportation as a whole is the biggest contributor to climate change. So let's reduce our carbon footprint by using public transport, bikes, or just plain old walking. Using public transport might be nice for long distances, but bikes and walking are also far healthier than just sitting in a car. Public transport options are taxis, buses, trains, and trams. They're really good because they can hold up more people and they release less carbon emissions into our atmosphere. They're also generally more affordable than cars. Donate to charities, fundraisers, and nonprofit organizations. Easy, simple, and a fast way to make you feel good while helping out the environment. You can save the earth by just spending a tiny bit of money. If you don't have enough money to donate, maybe reduce your electric consumption. Generating electricity is expensive and harmful to the environment. So why don't you just turn off that light while you exit that room, or turn off all lights before going to bed? Generating electricity is so expensive, as I mentioned. So that would make sure that your electricity bill stays small, so you can have that extra bit of money to donate to charity. Those are just 5 ways you can change. There are far more options, but you can start with those 5 steps to reducing your carbon footprint. Those are ways one person, you, can change. But then the painful truth is that one person can't do much. We can't do this without more people. So spread the news. Tell your friends, family, grandma, grandpa, even your goldfish. It's not too late. There's still hope. This opportunity is drinking as I speak right now. So don't let it be too late. Don't let it be too late, and change now for the future. Our home planet Earth is experiencing the fastest rise in sea level in history. Earth is the only place in the entire known universe confirmed to contain life. And now we're destroying it? As there are revered Greta Thunberg once said, for more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you look away? To sum up all of that, we're absolutely screwed, unless we do something about it. We are currently investing in the extinction of our own species. There are many ways we can slow down global warming and reduce your carbon footprint. But people will think that climate change is not that big of a deal and continue to look the other way. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was Fable's video. Now maybe we can ask Rochelle to give comments on it.
That was an amazing speech. I don't know if is he here, but that was an amazing speech. Good job, Fable. You had a really good intro. It was engaging. It immediately hooks our attention. You have good engagement with audience. You use analogies. You have a good variation in tone. It was funny. It was engaging. You had a good, strong call to action. You give solutions. You define all the scientific terms. You really used good job using all the facts and statistics, because again, it appeals to our ethos. And you also appeal to our emotions as well, which is good. And you have a nice variation of hand gestures to emphasize your points, which makes your speech more interesting. And I love your structure, how you used 5 ways you can change, and then you link the arguments with your solutions. That was good. And I also love your ending. So you had repetitions. Don't let it be too late, which creates a sense of urgency to readers. And you also have a really good rhetorical question in the end. Now we are destroying it. And the Greta Thunberg quote, which was really good, and it made your ending very strong and impactful. So good job. So, but one thing you can improve is, I feel like this could have been a stronger speech if you could also recap or summarize all your main points again in the end. So yes, we have the speech, we have the repetition, and then your recap again, so audience will remember what to take away from your speech. But overall, that was amazing. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rochelle. Now you can give your comments on Fable's video.
Hey, thank you very much. First of all, you did a job well done, Feeble. You had a very good opening, a very good introduction. I completely agree with all of Rochelle's points. I particularly liked your analogy of dinosaurs subsidizing meteors. That was a very good example to grab the reader's attention, and a pretty creative one. I've never heard of that before. You used a lot of ethos and logos, if we use the rhetoric theory, and you're very articulate in the way in the vocabulary that you use, so that was great as well. Although you could have improved a bit on your eye contact, and sometimes when you read the facts and statistics, you sort of go off on a monotonic voice. So if you could be a bit more enthusiastic when you're reading. We know it's a bit boring to read facts and statistics, but try and make it a bit more fun. And I like how you offered also many realistic alternatives for solutions. For example, if you don't want to give up a steak dinner, then you shouldn't go on a 40-hour flight for a vacation. That was a good example. So yeah, and things to improve on, I agree. Could have been a stronger opening if you recapped all your points. And as I've mentioned before, you could have been a bit more, you could have maintained better eye contact, and you could have had a stronger voice. But overall, excellent job. Job well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rama and Rochelle. Now we will be moving on to the video from Ladia Zafira Rahman.
Hi everyone, it's a wonderful day. My name is Lydia and I am the student from 7-8. I'll be talking about how the media controls our minds. Social media is the best example of a double-edged sword. If you can use it effectively for your favor, it can be life-changing. You can learn a bunch of new things, you can make new friends, and you can even make money out of it. But social media facilitates an environment in which people are comparing their natural selves to the flawless, filtered, and edited versions of others. Excessive social media use can not only cause unhappiness and general dissatisfaction with life and users, but also increase the risk of developing mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Constantly comparing oneself to another can lead to feelings of self-consciousness or a need of perfection. An order which often manifests as a social anxiety disorder. Another thing that makes social media so dangerous is its addictive side of it. Social media are precisely designed and calibrated to keep us hooked, as social media companies know this exactly how they can keep us addicted and continue to give them our most valuable and infinite resource, our attention. Since 1979, social media has been around and technology was just the beginning. However, in our world today, social media is our daily basis from when we wake up every morning, at school, and before we go to sleep every night. Teenagers now are using social media, mostly like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and that is just a few out of thousands in the world. We've spent lots of time just like scrolling through things that we don't really need. We didn't even notice the time passing by, but obviously, those are hours of your life that will never go back. In the end, it makes us unproductive. Now, let us imagine, as you scroll through your feeds, your anxiety increases and you feel these emotions that are hard to explain. But it feels like a mixture of pressure, self-hatred, and envy. This strange feeling has become more and more common among social media users. Social media could easily influence human behavior. This comes back to each of us. But back again, social media can also provide benefits such as marketing and profits that are great for you. Again, you should ask yourself, is this actually useful or not for me? Then analyze what is the benefits and disadvantages. If the outcome is positive, then go ahead. But if the outcome is negative and brings you down or makes you depressed, then it's better to stop. With the increasing age of social media, more and more users feel anxious, insecure, impatient, difficulty sleeping, difficulty focusing, and other similar psychological symptoms. I am one of them, and I am certain that I am not the only one. The media is affecting everyone because I am sure that every one of us has one of these in their pockets. How do we overcome the media controlling us? First, be a digital minimalist. Rather than feeling overwhelmed, you can use the technology more productively. To put it another way, a digital minimalist could happily ignore all online activities that do not add value to your life. It will take small steps every day to become a digital minimalist. As a digital minimalist, you will keep your online spaces, use technology less but better, and more importantly, you will not be addicted to checking your notifications every second. Make the most of your phone rather than use it to pass the time. Digital minimalism is not about limiting ourselves from the digital world, but building self-awareness so that we can use digital wisely and not being controlled by it. Second, delete apps that don't bring added value to you. Pick carefully apps that don't really bring you any benefit and delete them. I don't have any social media apps such as Instagram or Twitter, either on my phone or my laptop, because I'm afraid to be tempted by them. Third, change your focus. Focus less on what is not in your life and focus on the good things that is already in your life. For example, why am I not at that popular vacation spot? We change it with, I am now at home, enjoying the breeze, the sounds of the birds chirping. I am healthy. I'm grateful. Life is good. Next is self-compassion. Grow the self-compassion in yourself. When you connect with yourself, you'll be more self-accepting. You will no longer be busy comparing yourself and your life with others. Then, replace the fear of missing out on social media with the joy of missing out on social media. By doing this, we are present and satisfied with where we are now in life. You could also try to turn off all your social media notifications, just so that you won't get interrupted and pulled into these social media. Other than that, you could also try asking yourself, is this really what I wanted to do? Or is there anything else that I would rather be doing instead? Finally, if you used to spend your free time surfing social media, now fill your free time by doing activities that are more useful in reality. For example, being able to meditate, read books, writing diaries, joining communities, exercising, taking language classes, playing music, dance, or do other fun activities. You will start to feel the pleasure of living in the real world rather than the virtual. These habits take time, dedication, and persistence. Just a few days of doing these things are nowhere near enough to actually kick the habits of scrolling through social media. If you want to succeed with these habits and behavior changes, you need to be patient and keep putting in the work. Social media is so fun, it can easily make you addicted. Endlessly scrolling through it, and then what? Nothing. Carelessly using the internet can make us struggle to focus. Research shows that people who have trouble focusing their thoughts are going to negatively tend to dwell on what went wrong in life and forget what was actually going wrong. As you reduce your use of social media, your attention gradually returns to being whole, not divided. You'll feel that you have more time in a day, and you won't feel rushed by the time. By reducing the amount of time to use social media, you can also have a better concentration and a clearer mind. You could also take better care of yourself and your surroundings, like cleaning your own room, going outside, and connecting with the nature. I fell in love with the feeling of calm and focused mind without social media. I think this feeling is too precious to let go, right? Our time is limited in this life. When we are observant, we'll find happiness in what and who is around us. You have control. Use this control wisely. I believe that as a Beenusian, you will do your best. And always remember that the journey is the destination. Good luck, and take care for yourself.
That was the submission from Madia Zafira Rahmat, and she's here today. We could start from Karama first.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much, and congratulations. A job well done to you, Ladia, for making that wonderful speech. The first thing I'd like to point out is it was a very creative video presentation. I liked how you utilize a lot of editing effects. It was great because it's not just your face speaking into the camera, and we had some additional pictures to grab the audience's attention, so that was great. I also liked your body language. Used a lot of hand gestures, used a lot of sort of symbols, like you pulled out your phone in one part of the video, so that was a good way of grabbing the region's attention. You had excellent statistics, a good use of ethos, pathos, and logos, a good balance of rhetoric. But talking about balance, I would suggest you could have improved more on the sort of positive aspects of social media as well. Make the speech a bit more balanced, not just entirely about the negatives, but also point out, perhaps it's also good this way, and offer some alternatives as well. But you had some great solutions, and actually some rather realistic ones that we can apply to, and that's what I liked. And you had a relatively good ending, but it could have been a bit stronger. But overall, excellent voice, excellent and creative video, and a job well done.
Thank you so much.
Next we have Karisha.
Hi. Congrats. That was an excellent speech. The video was really beautiful and creative. And I agree completely with what Kak Rama said. But I would add, in terms of balance, I think that was pretty good. So you mentioned the benefits of media, but also the dangers of social media. It wasn't perfectly balanced, but it was a good attempt. So good job on the structure. A feedback would be the edits. It does make an interesting video, but I feel like it kind of distracts the audience from your speech. at some parts. So it would make a really good TED Talk or a video making competition, but it kind of distracts us from the main content of your speech. I also feel like, although there was a nice brief history of social media, which is good, the content was good, but I feel it was too much focus on social media. How about the other types of media? It could have been stronger if you also talk about, like, for example, print media or newspaper. Another good thing was you have a really good call to action, which I really like. So you invite audience, you ask the benefits. If it's positive or negative, then do it or stop. You have good engagement with audience. You have good use of rhetorical questions, examples. You use first, second, so the speech is really easy to follow. You appeal to FOS a lot, so like research shows, blah, 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 repetition, good variety in tone and expression, good use of hand gestures, really engaging. I love it. But another feedback I would add would be maybe next time don't use background music. It was kind of distracting. You have a really good voice. That's enough. Your voice was clear and strong, and that's enough. You don't need any music to back it up. But overall, congrats. That was a really beautiful speech.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, judges, and good job on the video, Lydia. Next, we have Manggala Alif Prasetya.
Hello there. I am Anglef Prasetya from grade 9 and I am here on this occasion to prove to you that the media is truly the mind controller of this world. Media manipulation is a series of related techniques in which partisans create an image or argument that favors their particular interests. To start off, let's begin with the origins, shall we? In the early 1800s, Friedrich Koenig industrialized the mass production of media. These innovations led to the daily newspaper in which united and urbanized industrialized populations of the 19th century. Eventually, in the 1920s, 100 years after the invention, large media networks, including the National Broadcasting Company and the Columbia Broadcasting Company, were launched and they soon began to dominate the airwaves. This began the circulation of the phrase media, in which eventually started the notion of mass media, but was generally restricted to print media up until the post-Second World War, when radio, television, and video were introduced. Now, all of you might be thinking, is there proof any of this is real? And is this just a conspiracy theory? Well, that is up to you to decide. However, I would like to show you the past to better visualize and understand the present. Let's look at the time period between 1933 and 1945, for example. At the time, the Nazis implemented a crucial instrument for acquiring and maintaining power. This would lead up to Adolf Hitler's rise to dictatorship in Germany. The form used by the German Nazi Party would be called propaganda. Propaganda, an information especially of biased or misleading nature used to promote and publicize a particular political cause or point of view. This is how we are being controlled, through mass manipulation in the form of propaganda. With all this in mind, it might have seemed troubling for you to understand this information properly. That is usually human nature. Now listen carefully. In order to prevent this from happening to us, there are several different solutions that we must enforce. Firstly, we shouldn't rely on social media for news. If this wasn't already obvious before the COVID-19 pandemic, it certainly is now. Bad information literally costs lives, and there's plenty of stuff floating around on platforms like Facebook and YouTube. There's no denying that social media has given us instant access to news and in many ways empowered us to create it ourselves. But this is a double-edged sword. Secondly, we should limit our time on social media. This one may seem obvious, but not many of us actually do it. Limiting the amount of time you spend on your favorite platform doesn't only help you to avoid the many forms of social media manipulation, it also gives you more time to decide to the people and things that are actually important in your life. And lastly, play your part. There's no doubt that governments around the world need to get tougher on social media platforms and put better regulations in place. But we also can't sit around and wait for it to happen. There are a number of ways that each of us can do our bit. That's it for all. Thank you for listening. I am Mangalev Prasetya, and I hope this message help you in spreading awareness of the mass manipulation in the media. Thank you.
That is the video from Alif. Now maybe we would like to ask the comments from Kak Rama. Alif is here with us today too.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, well done, Alif, for making that very clear video. First, I noticed that you had a very clear voice and you had pretty good language as well. I like how you include an adequate amount of facts and statistics. Although you could have improved a bit on your body language, as I noticed that you didn't use quite a lot of hand gestures, and I noticed that you were also reading off screen. I mean, you were reading off the screen, so you could have maintained a bit more eye contact. And the video was succinct. You provided enough facts and statistics and provided enough information, but there wasn't really much of a solution or much more detailed sort of call to action. So you could have added a bit more of that in, also to extend the time of the speech. And yes, I think that would be it for me. Well done. Thank you.
Rachel, you can continue.
Hi. So I agree completely with what Kak Rama said. I'm just going to add a few points. So that was a really good intro. So you stated main argument and definition. I love how you brought up propaganda and a World War II example. The structure is also easy to follow. So you use firstly, secondly, good structure. However, one thing to improve is that, again, you didn't use hand gestures and it was a bit too much history focus. So history is not really necessary in speeches. You could have used this time to state your arguments instead. History should only be used as an example to back up your arguments, but not as the overpowering content of your speeches, if that makes sense. And I feel like the speech was too short. If you could have expanded more in it, it would have been a really good speech. But great job.
Thank you, judges. Now we will be moving on to the next video from Sean Sylvester Siddhartha.
Hello there. I am Sean Sylvester Siddhartha with the topic of the media mind control. I'm here to talk about the media and how it controls the minds of the masses, how it manipulates the public's opinions, individuals, and even an entire society. To dive right in, we need to know what media is. The media, by definition, comes in two main categories. That includes mass media and social media. Mass media includes things like radio broadcasts, newspaper magazines, and even just the general television intended for a mass audience. While social media, on the other hand, refers to computer-based technology that enables users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. This, of course, includes platforms like Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and even TikTok. With that being said, let's go by the main topic of today, the exciting question of today. That is, what do I mean by the media being a manipulator or a mind controller? Well, by definition, media manipulation is a series of related techniques in which partisans create an image or argument that favors their interests, often done by rhetorical or propaganda-like techniques to outright deceive the public. Propaganda, by definition, is communication that is primarily used to influence or persuade an audience to further an agenda, which may not be objective and may be selectively presenting facts to encourage a particular synthesis or perception, or using loaded language to produce a emotional rather than a rational response to the information that is being released / presented. Two examples of propaganda would include the Uncle Sam army recruitment posters from World War I and the Rosie the Riveter poster from World War II. Both examples use the symbols to represent strength and a sense of urgency as they encourage United States citizens to join the war effort. Today, an example would be where a party, usually being people of high power or status, mainly in the division of political elites, uses the mass media to outright deceive or manipulate the public's opinion in order to gain control of their minds to manipulate them. Of course, doing this in favor of their party, as I mentioned before. Manipulation in mass media could also be diverting the attention or focus of the public. For example, a man of high political status is recently caught committing a crime. Naturally, news articles will be published in a blink of an eye about this, going over the details about it. To divert the public, the power he possesses enables him to contact local newspapers and release a flood of continuous distractions and insignificant information to distract, deceive, manipulate the public. This is, of course, referring to mass media. However, when we are talking about social media, we are talking about the environment in which we are constantly comparing ourselves to others that social media facilitates. Raising things like, for example, unrealistic beauty standards. For example, a fashion influencer would post gorgeous pictures of themselves. Naturally, their followers would compare themselves to him or her, not knowing that the image posted is heavily edited, taken in perfect conditions, certain variables being controlled, and with the influencer using various techniques like heavy makeup to look better. This is how social media manipulates a person's mind. Not to mention how addictive social media can get. I mean, we can all agree on this. Over the last 2 years, the COVID-19 pandemic situations, people are more tied to their phones than ever before. I mean, it makes sense. The colorful icons, the endless scrolls make for a very addictive platform. But in addition to that, it also facilitates things like cyberbullying. Now, first of all, I'd like to emphasize the fact that bullying in any form whatsoever isn't acceptable. However, cyberbullying can be done alone and anonymously, which creates a plethora of new problems. For example, the cyberbully can get away with their doings easily over and over without stopping, causing victims heavy problems. It's absolutely mind-boggling to me how the media can be such a misleading place. So as a conclusion, I've prepared several ways that can be used to not be affected by how people exploit or utilize the media to manipulate. In cases of mass media, it's best to always double check your sources, to always triple check your sources, and sometimes even quadruple check your sources, and make sure the information you obtain from them hold true. And compiling information from different perspectives or sources instead of one could really help obtain an unbiased end conclusion. On the other hand, in cases of social media, it's best to limit the use of social media on the first hand. However, when using social media, it's best to not compare yourselves with others and to be hard-headed when using, in some cases, a very toxic platform with cyberbulliers present in such platforms. So, I'll finish with a quote by Malcolm X. The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent, and that's power, because they control the minds of the masses.
That was the video from Sean Sylvester Sidarta, and he's here with us today. We could start from Rachel first.
Congratulations, Sean. That was a really strong speech. So you had a good opening, you set the context directly, and before you started, you also signposted your arguments. So you kind of gave an outline so audience can know what to expect to hear from you. Good job clearly defining the topic. You could do the distinction between print and social media, You had a strong voice. It was easy to understand and follow. You had a really good use of hand gestures to emphasize your points. Your voice, your body language were confident. You have good variety in tone, gestures, facial expression, again, to make your speech not boring. And I also like how you use pauses and then you change your intonation to emphasize certain points and your main arguments. So that's a good structure. You start with an argument, special intonation, stress your argument, and then you give definition, and then you use examples to support your arguments. That's really good. You also have a good range of vocab. You use repetitions to strengthen your points. You had a really good ending. There was a powerful quote by Malcolm X, but a feedback would be, it would be more persuasive if you then summarize your arguments in the end again too. And then you lay in your arguments with the quote. I also feel like your speech would be more powerful if it was more balanced. So instead of only the negative of media, does media can also bring positive changes maybe? And you had a bit too much definition. So definitions are good, you did it a lot, but it was a bit too long in your speech. And then in the middle of the speech, you went on a tangent about propaganda, which kind of deviates away from your main argument. But overall, that was a really strong speech. Great job.
Karama, you could continue.
Thank you. So first of all, excellent job, Sean. You had a really strong speech. First, I like your introduction, and you had an excellent use of hand gestures, although sometimes they're a bit too close to your face and a bit too close to the camera. So I'd suggest like moving away your face a little bit so your hand gestures don't block out your facial expressions entirely. Like I said, you had a really good opening. You had a really good structure. I completely agree with all of what Rochelle has mentioned. You're very articulate with your language as well, is what I've noticed. And there are a lot of clear examples that you've provided. Although during the middle of the speech, this is more in like the speaking aspect, your voice kind of lulled down a little bit and it lost sort of the momentum, but then you picked it up towards the end. So I'd suggest improving on the consistency of your voice overall. And as Rochelle has mentioned, you sort of deviated a bit by setting examples of propaganda. But I could see how you're trying to connect that with today's real life examples. I could see the connection, but if you could have provided a more relevant example, that would be much better. But overall, excellent job.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges, for the feedback, and thank you, Sean, for the submission. Next, we have Zarsar Barita Prabaswara Juri Simbolan.
Hello everyone, I hope you are all in a good condition. Today, I am going to deliver my speech about the media mind controller. But before I proceed, let me introduce myself. I am Siddhartha Barita Prabaswara Juri Simbolon from the class 7F. It's a pleasure to meet you. And today, I am going to deliver my speech. What is the media mind controller? Let us know the definition of it. The media mind controller means a media that can control, influence, and brainwash people, such as propaganda. A lot of these media that can control us is mostly used in political problems. For example, the media from country A said that country B is guilty, while country B said the exact opposite of country A. This brainwashing media is used so that people from country A will have a mindset that people from country B is guilty. So does country B thinks that country A is guilty. And another example, during the war, as you can see, a lot propaganda posters are usually posted in the streets. This brainwashing media is really toxic and can cause conflict between some people because they have a bad mindset. I strongly disagree with this brainwashing media because it can cause confusion between which one is true and which one is fake. Because most of these media have been manipulated and it's not 100% true and trustworthy. And because it was already manipulated, it's hard for us to get the exact, pure, true information. And this could really give us a lot of question. A lot of question can pop out because the perception is different. Like, the media is dangerous. It can control us. It can control our mind and also our life because it changes our perception of thinking and can influence how we live. But like, not all media is dangerous. If the media contains positive content, I'm pretty sure that it can change our life into a better one. This is the media that we needed. A true media. The media that doesn't spread fake news and hate. And, well, but now, because of politics, most media are biased and tend to only support one side. This can change our mindset because they try to lie to us. Most of these brainwashing media hides the truth, the bitter truth that they don't want anyone to know. The media expect us to believe them. They want to control us. They want to control our life. They want to change our mindset, our point of view, and our perception of thinking. As you can see, many television channels, newspapers, news websites, and a lot more give some questionable news, especially about political problems. And no, we cannot just believe in that information because most of those news tends to not reveal the truth. They only showed us the tiny aspect to it. And it's because they don't want to admit to the public their dark secret. And as I was saying, not all media are manipulated. Some can be useful for us, but we just need to be careful of receiving information because not all of it could be trustworthy. And it can fool us or other. So that's why we have to find the exact information, the true one, the trustworthy one. So that is why we have to make sure that the information is credible and trustworthy so that we don't get fooled by the medias. And I'm pretty sure that if you check quite and if you dig through it, you can find the media that is not toxic and shows the true media that is not, that doesn't have hateful speech in it, that have the truth in it. And that is all for my speech. Thank you all for listening, and this is all my speech. And bye.
That is the video from Sartar Barita, and I think he was here earlier, and maybe he's here. We would like to ask the comments from Karama first.
Okay, thank you very much. So, job well done again to Zarta Barita. I hope I said that correctly. You were very enthusiastic about your speech. That's one good thing. You had good body language. You stood up well, maintained rather good hand gestures, good eye contact as well, I noticed. although in terms of your vocabulary, you could have extended it a bit, but you had a clearer voice. In terms of the issue that you mentioned, it was a bit shallow, meaning that you could have expounded a bit more on what the media is about, not just in terms of the propaganda or how it's used by political parties, but you perhaps could have maintained its relevance today and how it affects us personally. There were some parts of your speech as well where you sort of lost the momentum. That's pretty normal, but you could have maintained a bit more consistency in that. And finally, your ending could have been improved, but overall you had a good enthusiasm. Your voice was very clear and you had good body language, so that's a great starting point. That will be it for me. Thank you and an excellent job.
Rachel, you can continue.
Hi, thank you for that speech. I agree completely with what Karama said, so I'll just add a couple of things. You had a bit too many pauses, and your voice was pretty weak, so it kind of makes you sound unsure. And I feel like your intonation, it's good, but it's more appropriate for poetry, not speeches. So for speeches, you need to be stronger to be more persuasive to audience. However, I do like that your voice was clear. You did define your topic of speech, and it was overall pretty balanced. Your arguments were pretty solid, and it was backed by examples. So thank you for your speech, and better luck next time. That was a really good speech.
Thank you for the feedbacks. Since that was our last video, this marks the end of the session. Thank you for all of the feedbacks. I'm sure every single participant can learn from the feedbacks and continuously improve on their next speeches. But before we end the session, I want to ask our judges what they think about the speech competition and the participants. We could start from Karama.
Okay, thank you very much. So again, I'd like to profusely thank the MCs here and thank all the participants for their attendance and submitting their speeches. Firstly, I'd like to say that you guys did an excellent job, and of course this is not just me saying it as a formality, but you guys all did a really good job, because I noticed that the participants have varied in terms of their grades. There's people from 7th grade, but there's also people who graduated, but it doesn't necessarily mean that one is better than the other. All of you guys did an excellent job, and I'm very impressed on how the quality of the speeches were delivered, as well as how articulate a lot of you guys were in delivering your speeches. There are there's lots of speeches where they had good call to actions. There's a lot of speeches where it was rather entertaining. So I found a good balance, and I found it rather entertaining to watch these speeches. But most of all, especially because these topics are very relevant, but also carry a bit of controversy with them. But all of you guys were able to dissect and provide a point of view that was a very strong one. Okay, so I think, yeah, that would be it for me. Thank you.
How about you, Rochelle?
It's mostly the same with what Rama said. I'm really impressed by your enthusiasm. And although the topics were it's quite tricky, you guys did a really good job in breaking it down and giving really logical, persuasive arguments to approach the issue. It was really fun watching all the videos. You can see a range of different styles, very creative solutions, very good hooks, and a really good experience. Thank you, Beevolution team, as well, for this amazing opportunity. I wish all the delegates best of luck in the future. I hope to see you guys again in other competitions as well.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you to all the participants and their efforts, and to our judges who have gone through all of them and given the participants feedback. We hope to see our participants in many more competitions to showcase their talents.
And don't forget that the announcement of winners is on the 12th of November on Beevolution's Instagram, and to watch the Beevolution 2022 closing ceremony streamed live on our YouTube channel. Thank you and have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Very much, Hal.
Bangun pagi ku minum susu, bantu sehat kuat tubuhku, dukung daya tahan alami, baik kini dan juga nanti. Tiap pagi susu Fresh and Fried. Bangun pagi ku minum susu, bantu sehat kuat tubuhku, dukung daya tahan alami, baik kini dan juga nanti. Tiap pagi susu Fresh and Fried. Bangun pagi ku minum susu, bantu sehat kuat tubuhku, dukung daya tahan alami, baik kini dan juga nanti. Tiap pagi susu Fresh and Fried. Bangun pagi ku minum susu, bantu sehat kuat